Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Values and attitudes. Our Nimish already gave a beautiful explanation of what values are and what attitudes are. Values are the universal rules already existing, rules around which the whole universe functions. Those existing rules or laws are the values. Thus, honesty becomes a value for us because we find everything in nature being honest and transparent. There is no pretentiousness. Nobody or nothing in nature pretends to appear different from what they are. A dog appears as a dog, a cat as a cat, a camel is a camel, meaning that there is transparency, and therefore we can predict how nature usually will respond, because we know they are consistent in their behavior. Meaning that the universe automatically follows these laws of transparency, law of honesty, law of truthfulness. The human being also is part of nature, so we should also follow those laws, because we know from our experience that abiding by the law will be rewarded and violating a law will be punished. Although you may not perhaps agree with this statement, because in India we do not seem to be punished for any violation of law. People seem to get away from violating laws left and right. And those who are abiding by the law seems to be left behind, seems to be have to settle with less. On the surface of it, it looks as though these universal laws are not functioning in human society. They function in everything sentient or insentient other than human beings. The law functions, and the whole universe other than human being instinctively follows the laws. Therefore there is a harmony in nature. There is peace in nature. Human being does not seem to enjoy that inner harmony. People complained of stress, of tension, of conflict, of violence, of depression. All of these are typical problems of human beings. Other creatures don't have depression, tension, stress. A buffalo has no stress. A camel has no tension. They seem to live in their own world and quite in harmony. But poor human being seems to have stress and tension and sadness and depression. That is because the human being is gifted with free will. What is free will? Free will is the freedom to make a choice in a given situation. A situation may call for a response on my part. Then I have a choice of how to respond. Should I say what is right? Or should I say what is wrong? Or should I say what is politically right? You know what is politically right? It is white lie, but it's called politically right. I have these choices. A donkey has no choice. Anything that comes behind its hind leg, it will kick. A dog has no choice. When it sees someone stranger, it barks. Meaning that they seem to respond instinctively. Whereas we have a choice of how to respond to a given situation. And you know what that choice means? That we are aware of the basic laws of life. We are aware of the basic values of life. Basically, we do not need to be taught what the values are. Because the basic value is, do not do unto others what you do not want them to do to you. Do not do unto others what you do not want them to do to you. You do not want other people to hurt you, so what's the value? You don't hurt. You do not want other people to cheat you, so what's the value? Don't cheat. You do not want other people to lie to you, so what's the value? Don't tell a lie. You follow? We know this. Generally, in every situation, we know what is appropriate and what is not. And still we find, in spite of knowing that, I expect the other person to tell me the truth. Very often, I still tell a lie, knowing that it is wrong. Meaning that we see ourselves doing things that we know are wrong. You follow? When you do something which you do not know is wrong, you can be pardoned. Although ignorance is not always an excuse, but you can be pardoned. But in most cases, when we do something wrong, when we violate a value, when we treat someone quite contrary to the way we want to be treated, I know it is wrong. And still, I very often do it. Why is it so? Meaning that human being is the only creature who can violate the law or violate the values. Knowingly. If you do not know what the law is, then you may be, as I said, pardoned for violating. But when we do something deliberately that is wrong, then we are going to be punished. In the universal scheme of things, understand? We may get away from the local law and order mechanism, but we cannot get away from the universal law of right and wrong called law of karma, law of cause and effect. If you deliberately do something right, you will be rewarded. If you deliberately do something wrong, you will be punished. So then the tensions that we are feeling, the stresses that we feel, the sadness that we find, what is this? It is nothing but the punishment for the laws that we have deliberately violated. It's a very harsh judgment to say that something is a punishment. But otherwise, there is no reason for us to be under stress. No reason to be unhappy. Because what Manish mentioned, Nimish, Vedanta teaches that we are happiness by nature. If happiness is by nature, we should not feel unhappy. And we very often feel unhappy. That shows that we are doing something not right. So stress comes whenever we violate the harmony. For example, there is a harmony in our body. My stomach has a certain disposition. What is congenial to the stomach, what is not congenial, and generally we know. And still there are temptations. Swamiji's samosa is very good. How about this kachori? How about pizza? How about a sizzler? All kinds of tempting things are there. Even when I know that my stomach cannot handle them, it is because of temptation of an immediate gratification. What I want is immediate gratification. You enjoy a pizza, it gives you immediate gratification. So because of temptation, I do something which is not appropriate for my health. Similarly, so one evening I was invited for bhiksha. Idli, dosa, sambar, vada. Nothing suits my stomach, nothing. But all of these are bringing, my mouth is watering looking at them because I love them. So you indulge sometimes. I violated the harmony of my body. I woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning with a severe stomach pain, severe acidity, vomiting. Why? The result of violating the harmony of my body. I can always complain about people, cooking this, that, not properly, using this material, that material, etc. But really speaking, it is I who violated the harmony of the body, and that violation manifested as the pain and suffering. Therefore, the general rule can be that all the pain and suffering that we have in our life is the result of violating these values which are the universal laws. And we know that, and still we do it. When I know that speaking truth is the right thing for me, why do I tell a lie? When I know that I should be a kind person because I want others to be kind to me, why do I become cruel? Why do I use words which hurt the feelings of others? Why do I do that? Meaning, why does a person violate the value? Sometimes knowing that it is the wrong thing to do, sometimes knowing that it will have unpleasant consequences. Why do I do? The answer is, I do not do that. I am forced to do. I am compelled to do. Something compels me. So whenever I tell truth, I am doing it. I am using my free will to do what is right. Whenever I deliberately tell a lie, something forces me to go against my nature, my value. You follow this? This is very important to understand. then nobody tells a lie. We do not tell a lie, we are forced or compelled to tell a lie. Compelled to be greedy, compelled to be dishonest, compelled to cheat, meaning that all violation of values is due to compulsion or helplessness. So we become helpless. Why? Because there are some very powerful forces within us which make us helpless. What are those powerful forces? Greed is one powerful force. And when my mind overcomes with greed and temptation, because attraction for money, attraction for power, attraction for fame is so strong. Because we are born and raised in a society which values wealth, which values power, which values fame. When we grow in a society which values this, so we also value them. Today in the Times of India, there is a list of the richest 10 persons in the world. The Amazon CEO, the richest man, I think $117 billion. And then come Bill Gates, $87 billion, stuff like that, So who will get, you think they're going to print my name and your name in the newspaper? No. The wealthy gets the attention of the world. So when I see that, I also want to be like that. The famous are always there in the front page of the newspaper. The powerful are there. So the wealthy, the famous, the powerful, they get all attention. They are successful. This is how I am made to believe in course of my upbringing in the society. So we have two sets of values. One is that we have these universal values, natural values with which we are born, that telling the truth is the right thing to do, be kind is the right thing to do, be compassionate is the right thing to do. We know that. And everybody feels the same way. They are universal values. But in the course of upbringing in the society, we also develop a value for wealth, for power, for fame, because the people who have acquired this are called successful people. So I have value for success also. I have value for honesty also, truth also, at the same time also a value for success. And whatever I equate with success also becomes valuable. If I equate wealth with success, wealth becomes valuable. Power with success, that becomes valuable. So success is another value. And we do not understand what success is. Or we think that this wealth and power and fame are equal to success. So then, in a given situation now, these two entities try to control my attention. On one hand, the honesty tells me that Swami, you be honest. The other force is success. Success says, hey, you should be successful. Nobody rewards honesty, everybody rewards success. Now, it depends upon my willpower. If I am very strongly convinced, I have a strong conviction about the value, then I won't care. But unfortunately, most of us are not. We have a strong conviction about success. We know what success brings to me. It brings me attention, it brings me, I'm a celebrity, so that brings me happiness. What does honesty bring me? If I'm honest, what do I get? If I tell truth, what do I get? I don't seem to get anything. Whereas, if I'm successful, wealthy, I seem to get all the glory. You understand what I'm saying? So we have these two sets of values. In every situation, both of these try to command my attention. And more often than not, the value for success, which may be either wealth or fame or power, that wins, and therefore, under that pressure, I compromise the value of honesty or truthfulness or kindness. But Swamiji, this is right, success. Everybody loves success. If you are an unsuccessful person by following values, then what's the point in having values? So the question is, does following values make me a successful person or unsuccessful person? Now for that, we need to analyze what success is. Although we are raised to believe that wealth means success, power means success, fame means success, that is what we are taught. But then, is that a right equation? Does wealth mean success? Does power mean success? Does fame mean success? Or does happiness mean success? Tell me. What do you think, one of you? What do you think is success? Is money success or happiness success? Really? So, the point is, do we want wealth for the sake of wealth, or do we want wealth for the sake of happiness? If wealth is going to make us unhappy, would you want it? If power or fame make us unhappy, would we want them? So understand that whatever we want for the sake of happiness, not for the sake of those things. So therefore, even from this wealth and power and fame, what do we really want? We want happiness. So what is the true definition of success? Happiness should mean success, is it not so? So then the next question is, do the values make us happy or unhappy? When I am a kind person, when I am a truthful person, when I am an honest person, do I feel happy or unhappy? What do you think so? In your own experience. Whenever there was an occasion that you were kind to somebody, you went out of your way to help somebody, you gave a smile, assuring smile to somebody, a consoling smile to somebody, you extended your hand to help somebody. In difficult situation, you stuck to your value and you told the truth without being tempted. How do you feel? You find that you feel happy. Our own experience tells us that I am happy when I am honest, I am not happy when I am dishonest. You know what happens? When I deliberately cheat somebody, how do I feel inside? Do I feel good or do I feel guilty? when you say something that hurts, suppose there is some kind of a discussion with your friend and then you get excited and use words which hurt the feelings of a friend or somebody, do you feel good about it? Or you regret later on, I wish I had not said it. Is it not so? Very often we regret, isn't it? Very often you have a sense of guilt, I should not have done it. Do you feel guilty? When do you feel guilty? When we discover that we have done something which is not appropriate. Is it not so? Meaning that violating a value brings guilt and unhappiness, and following a value brings self-satisfaction, happiness. Therefore, it is quite legitimate that we want success. Our desire for success is a legitimate desire. Human being wants to be successful. But understanding of success should be right. That happiness is a mark of success, not the other way around. Therefore, we should do that which makes us truly happy. This is where values come. That every time I follow a value of kindness, value of charity, value of generosity, value of honesty, every time I do that, I feel good about myself. And every time I violate the value, I feel bad about myself, I feel guilty, I regret, I feel unhappy. That is why value of values. That values make us successful people, make us happy people, successful people. But Swamiji, you may be happy, but if you are a poor person, what will you do? You say you follow the values and so you are happy, all right. But you don't have money even, to make a trip to Singapore. You don't have money, you even have a taxi cab. You can't get an Uber, you need to go by bus. Isn't that painful? That you may be deprived of the luxuries of life, and by following the values, you may have to settle for a modest way of life, suppose. I'm not saying you have to, but in case. Doesn't that make you unhappy? If you do travel by bus, does it make you unhappy? Does it have to make you unhappy? Does it have to? Or you can enjoy a bus ride also. Can you enjoy? Is it that you can only enjoy a taxi ride and not bus ride? When can you enjoy something, When you are happy with yourself. When there is inner satisfaction, you can enjoy what is. I may be riding in a, what they call the stretched limousine, Have you seen the stretched limousine? Stretched like that. Don't ask me who are the people who usually ride those limousines. You may not know, but anyway. But that is the ultimate mark with a Wall Street Journal in hand. That's how I used to describe a successful person. Riding a stretched limousine with Wall Street Journal, the most prestigious newspaper, they have 40, 50 years ago. That is the, picture of a successful person. But is it? Does it mean that because you are riding a very luxurious car, a chauffeur-driven car, with all the comforts, does it necessarily mean that you are a happy person? Or there can be a lot of tension and stress also in your mind in spite of those things, because this is all acquired by, if not acquired by fair means. I'm not saying that everybody who rides luxurious car is a deal. But in case you acquire this by unfair means, it creates stresses in your mind. All stresses and tensions and conflicts in the mind are the result of violation of values, violation of laws. So even though I'm looking at Wall Street Journal, my mind is revolving around something else. It is stressed, it is intense, it is tense. All I am saying is that happiness cannot be measured by an external situation such as comfortable life, etc. Comfort is one thing, happiness is another thing. Comfort is the situation outside of me. Happiness is the state of my own mind. Meaning that I can be in the midst of comfort and still an unhappy person. Like sometimes the kings have a crown of thorns, being a king. It's a whole burden of the whole kingdom. Can be a very unhappy person. Or you can be a happy person even in a very modest place or even a hut. Is it possible? In school we used to have this story that one poor person went to a Mahatma, a sadhu who was visiting by, a very well-known person. So this poor man goes to this sadhu, says, please give me some way, show me something by which I can be happy. I am a very unhappy person. That sadhu gave a very simple solution. Says, acquire the shirt, go to a happy person, get a shirt, wear the shirt of a happy person and you'll be happy. What is the solution? Wear the shirt of a happy person and you'll be happy. Oh, that's very nice. Simple. So he went to the wealthiest person in the town and requested him, please give me your shirt. He said, why do you want my shirt? I want the shirt of a happy person. Because if I wear the shirt of a happy person, I will become happy. He says, I am sorry, I can give you my shirt, but it's not the shirt of a happy person. Why? I am not a happy person. You don't know, I am a big businessman. So many ships are coming and what kind of goods are coming and so many things have to go. I am always under tension. I am not a happy person. So he is disappointed. He thought, let me go to a poor person. Went to a poor person. Why do you want my shirt? I want the shirt of a happy person. What do you make things? I am happy, I am miserable, but I don't know when my next meal is going to come also. I am very unhappy. Went to a middle class person. That fellow is about his daughter and son, all kinds of problems were there, and so he could not find a single happy person in the whole town. Wealthy person is not happy, poor person is not happy, middle person is not happy, man is not happy, woman is not happy, old is not happy, young is, nobody is happy. You could not get the shirt of a happy person. He was disappointed. Then somebody said, hey, what do you want? I want the shirt of a happy person, simple thing. So you know something? Go away from the town in the forest. There is someone is living in that forest in a very modest hut. He is a happy person. Go and get his shirt. So this man, as the direction given to him, went to that faraway place. There was a hut there, and there was somebody inside that because this sound of laughter was coming. So surely there is a happy person inside. Knocks the door. So a question is asked, says, who is that? I am so and so. What do you want? I want your shirt. Why? I want the shirt of a happy person. I can see that you are a happy person. Please give me a shirt. He laughed, opened the door, he had no shirt. Meaning that happiness is not in something. Happiness is nothing but a state of your mind. It does not come from outside. It just evolves, wells up from within yourself. And that happens whenever you follow the laws of life. Therefore, if you want success in life, and you should have success, understand that success is happiness. Happiness is a state of mind which is free from conflicts and stresses and strains, and that state of mind can be only acquired. It doesn't happen right away. You have to acquire it. You have to build it by living a life based on the values. These values are like a sculptor. You know a sculptor? A sculptor takes a rough rock or a stone and with his chisel and hammer shapes that stone, and in course of time brings out a beautiful form from the stone. Is it not so? I don't say any sculptor here, but anyway, but suppose it's a murti of Lord Krishna, a stone murti of it. Before that murti, it was just a stone. Is it not so? To you and I, it would have appeared only as an ugly stone. To a sculptor, he could see something in that stone. He could see some beauty, and therefore, he brought to revelation, manifestation, the beauty. It is already there. A sculptor does not provide the beauty. The beauty is already there. Is it not so? That Lord Krishna is already there in the stone. Is it not so? What does the sculptor do? Just removes the outer covering and brings to manifestation what is already there. Is it not so? Something new? Never heard of, never thought of this. Looking at the face of the people, what is this? What is Swami talking about? Do you understand what I am saying? What does a sculptor do? A shilpi takes a stone with his chisel and hammer, brings out a form which was already there, covered. He removes the covering and brings to manifestation what is already there. So we are also like that, like the rough stone. Right now I'm like a rough stone. You talk to me and you get some, so you can, talking to me maybe like walking on the eggshell. You never know when Swami you'll get. So I may be like a rough stone, but these values are like the sculptor. Every time I tell the truth, one chip is removed. You follow? Every time I am kind, another chip is removed. Every time I follow a value, more and more covering is removed and my inner beauty becomes manifest. We are all inherently beautiful people. Each one of us is a saint by nature. Swamiji, this terrorist also is a saint? You saw that video? This person shoots and he shoots his own video. He had a camera on his head with which he shot. Doesn't matter what it is. The point is, Swamiji, is there beauty in that person also? Yes. Anything that is ugly that we see is not the inherent nature. It is result of his violating values. Only ugliness that we may see in ourselves. Ugliness not of the face, of the nature, of the mind. There is no ugly face, but mind can be ugly. A violent mind, aggressive mind, that can be called an ugly mind. A kind, compassionate mind is a beautiful mind. So that way, each one of us is a beautiful person by nature. Whatever ugliness appears in our nature is all due to an external cause, is unnatural. It can be removed. Therefore, even a terrorist also inherently is a beautiful person. His wrong upbringing, wrong belief system, wrong values has made him a person like this. You can change. You can change even a terrorist also into a saint. You and I cannot do, but it can be done. What I am saying is that this is the agenda we have in our life. Human life is meant for what? For this agenda. What's the agenda? To bring out the inherent beauty within ourselves. The inherent happiness in ourselves. Inherent goodness in ourselves. Because by nature we are all good, beautiful, happy persons. That's called Atma. We are all that. Nobody is an exception. So, therefore, to live life of values is to embark upon a life when we are creating happiness for ourselves. We have to create happiness. It doesn't happen by itself. You have to create happiness by living the life of values. And we create our own happiness also by violating the values. We can blame other people for making us unhappy. But who makes me unhappy? My own self. By doing wrong thing, violating values. Who makes me happy? Also myself. By following the life of values. So that's the value of values. This is how the value is a means of success and happiness. Therefore, it's the most valuable thing in our life. That's why we should follow them. Let me take a break here and let me, if there is any question anybody has on what I said so far. You can ask me in English, Hindi, Gujarati, 3 languages I know. So in any one of the languages you can ask me a question. These days when I travel in aeroplane, they tell you that our staff knows Marathi, English, Gujarati, Bengali, this, that, French, etc. They will tell you what languages they know, so you can communicate with them. So I know 3 languages. You see, scarcity is, his question is, why is there so much dishonesty in India? If you have to defend Indians, then one reason is scarcity. We are a poor country with very scarce resources, and therefore many of us, most of us are deprived of even the basic needs of life. When there is scarcity, that is what breeds dishonesty. I remember in 1973, this OPEC, the organization of the petroleum, something, whatever it is. So, all the Arab countries, they got together and decided to raise the prices of petroleum. Those days, $1 a barrel was made, $20 a barrel, something like that. And all of a sudden, there was a scarcity of petroleum. The prices went up. Scarcity of petrol or gasoline. People would stand in long lines to fill up their cars. That time we could hear the news in America also, that they should bribe these petrol pump people and get their petrol out of line, out of turn. All kinds of theft of petrol from the cars. See, what I'm saying is, when there is scarcity, that is when your value is tested. As long as everything is going good, everybody is good. But when you are challenged, that is when the real test comes. And unfortunately, Indians have failed those challenges, and they have fallen for the discomfort or the hardship that comes from scarcity of. So we were left the poor. We were the richest country when the British came to India, and we became one of the poorest countries when the British left India. They squeezed India completely. There was nothing but poverty and starvation in the country. So these are the things that are still there in our psyche. So even though now we may not have that kind of a scarcity, but the same psyche remains of grabbing whatever I can grab. There was a time when that was necessary to survive. Now even if I don't need to survive, that grabbing has become a habit. It has come into our psyche. And so that we'll have to change. We'll have to realize that it is making us miserable and unhappy. We will only learn provided we realize that by violating this law that we are suffering. As long as we don't understand that, we still believe in India that if you are dishonest, you can be successful only if you are dishonest. They are all wrong conclusions and wrong equations. They have to change. And then only the psyche or the mind state will change.
Swami, without no worries, reduce the book Saraswatiji. Someone as a middle class, or lower middle class. How is it that family speak about it? If they like the basic, they might have to 5% is the common. But at least you are from each other. They reduce accept from each other. Gandhiji are there. Gandhiji values of none. અને ચોક્કસ સિદ્ધાંતો બનાવ્યા જેની અંદર કસ્તુરબા જોડે તમે ગમાતી હોડી કસ્તુરબા એક્સેપ્ટ કરે ના કરે કંઈ ત્યાં ભેટ મળી કસ્તુરબાએ આપણી પાછી આપણી તો આપણી નથી યુ કેનોટ એક્સેપ્ટ ધીસ આ છે અને દીકરા જોડે બી કંઈ થયું એવું અને આખું ફેમિલી ફર્ગ જે કંઈ પોતે અલગ રીતે કોમ્પ્યુટરને કરી શક્યા ગાંધીજીને પોતાને બી ફીલ થયું કે હું કંઈક મારા ફેમિલી માટે ન કરી શક્યો અને values are definitely આપણે જાણીએ છીએ દિવસ ઘણો લાગે છે ને ઘણી સ્ટ્રગલ આવે છે અંદર મનોમંથન જેને કહીએ કે કેવી કહીએ આપણે એના વિશે જરા થોડું આપણે થોડી ચર્ચા કરીએ. થેન્ક યુ.
Values always bring conflicts because there are two sets of values. One is value for success, fame, etc. Other is value for honesty. When there is a conflict, they bring. So when they are arrayed against each other, there is a conflict. So conflict will come when you make a choice. Whenever a choice has to be made, and you to take responsibility for your choice, stress will come, conflict will come. So conflict is all right. The conflict is not a problem. Problem is failing to live up to our values because of temptation, because of inner weakness. The reason why we cannot follow the value is you need inner strength of conviction. If you don't have that, then you give up. So, I guess in India, even though we have Bhagavad Gita and all the great scriptures, we don't have a conviction right now that value is valuable to us. Still that fame and power are more valuable to us than values. So what is more valuable will be selected. So values are losing the battleground. But we do not realize that by violating those values, we are inviting all conflicts. First internal conflicts, and then those internal conflicts become external conflicts. If you see the history of any terrorist or anybody, all these fellows, you can see what conflicts are going on in their mind and how they came out as external behavior. So India is not a happy country, it's a miserable country, one of the most miserable countries in the world, because we violate the values left and right, which creates all conflicts inside, which result into conflicts outside. So all relation, everything is affected, we don't realize. The price that we are paying, we do not realize. You may have $1 million with your lakhs of rupees, but what price you have paid? Since we don't realize that, you go ahead, you go on doing it.
Hariom Swami, the biggest concern that I have today, being a parent of a 10-year-old son, how can I give this gift of happiness to my child? The true happiness. I don't want him to get into this struggle of to show himself, to get into that level of greed and I don't know, how do I just protect my child? And is it necessary for, is there something that I can do right now for him?
We can do two things as parents. First, as we are raising the child, we communicate to the child, tell them the stories of the people who have lived a life of values, and create in them the image of the really great people who lived life of values, number one. And number two, we demonstrate in our own life. We live a life of values as parents, and we become a role model for our children. Bhagavad Gita says that person always imitates the leader. So parents are leaders for the child. They look up to the child, looks up to the parents and tries to imitate what they do. So if we as parents live a life of values as best as we can, then child will see what it is to live the life of values. See, teaching value theoretically is one thing, but a practical demonstration is a different thing. So being a parent is a very responsible thing, where we have to demonstrate to our child by walking the talk, meaning that by trying to live what we teach. Not easy, but at least we should try that. Your concern is very much understood, because today, as long as child is small, the parents have influence on the child. When the child starts going to school, then other influences come. And the time comes when parents lose the influence over a child. Even teachers lose the influence. Complain that children cannot be influenced by teachers or the parents. The external temptations and forces and all the media, etc., takes over. Also the peer pressures are there. And therefore we have no choice but to let our child has to go through this. But if we have in the childhood created some convictions in the child, then the child may be able to hold to its own fort even against this kind of attacks. So in short, the child should develop a self-worth, self-esteem, self-confidence. Then only it will be able to stave off the negative influence that comes from the whole world. And if a child is growing in an environment where he watches the parents, as a friend said about Mahatma Gandhi, what conflicts all they went, but then he demonstrated. Now we are not Mahatma Gandhis anywhere, but still whatever we can do in terms of, in English, walk the talk. You know what is walking the talk? Do as you talk. Do what you say. So parents should try to do that. Demonstrate the values by their own behavior and communicate the values through stories, through other conversations, and try to create as much positive influence upon the child as possible. And hopefully create a conviction in the child that this is the right thing to do. Then perhaps the child may be able to protect itself from the negative influences. We can try. After all, a parent is like a gardener. What a gardener can do is, when it is given a seed, it will sow the seed, give it water, fertilizer, sunlight, prop the support. It can do everything for the plant to grow well. But the fruits that will ultimately come will be determined by the seed and not by the gardener. You follow? If the seed is a lemon seed, in spite of the best effort of gardener, only lemon fruit comes. If it's a mango seed, mango fruit comes. Meaning that the child also has brought its own samskaras from the past. And they also sometimes play out. And so we can do the best that we can, and with prayer, leave the rest. What can we say? But at the same time, don't blame yourself for the child, because you are not the only influence. Child has brought its own samskaras also. So sometimes, in spite of the best efforts of the parents, children turn out to be what they do. In spite of the best efforts of Hiranyakashipu to raise his child like an asura, he turned out to be a Mahatma like Prahlada. The other way around also has happened. And so, but we can do the best that we can.
Any more questions?
You have some question?
Please.
Value of truthfulness, what you mentioned. Is the truthfulness just a statement of facts, or is it situational dependent? For example, suppose if a child of a person is out of station and staying somewhere else, and the parent has expired, and he is being communicated that his father or mother is serious and critically serious in the hospital. This is what is told to the child. And then when he comes to know the actual fact. Now, the person who is communicating with the child is not telling the facts, but telling, depending upon the situation, not to create an anxiety for the child. So, could you just throw some light on the aspect?
You see, any value has to be interpreted in a given situation. Meaning that, what does truth mean in this situation? Because the purpose of following a value is to bring about an overall good. And therefore, sometimes false can be true if it brings about overall good. For example, one sadhu was living in a hut in a forest. A man came running, breathless. Please save me, I am being chased by a gunman, he is going to kill me, please help me. Sadhu, hey, hide behind that. In a few minutes, a man came with a gun. Have you seen a man running away from here? So what should he say? Yes, I have seen. Where is he? He is there. That's not, So truth is not always truth if it brings about a pain or suffering. So yes, I have seen him. Where? He went that way. So maybe in that situation, that would be called truth. So we have to use our judgment. Not only truth, but about everything. Whether what is non-violence, what is honesty, in every situation we have to interpret, use our judgment, use our wisdom. We could be wrong. We will know from the result that we were wrong, you can correct it.
I think we are done with the questions. Emily.
Fine.
Swamiji, thank you for your enlightening talk. Now I request Harshvardhan Bhai to propose a vote of thanks.